That's why you were so desperate to get your hands on those negatives. Photographs of you and Yvette in flagrante delicto, remember?
Mr. Body threatened to send those pictures to my dear old mother. The shock would have killed her.
Oh, that would have been quite an achievement since you told us that she's dead already.
Words About Books. It is a podcast in which one of the co-hosts won his NCAA bracket despite the fact that Purdue sucks. Am I right? Even though I put Purdue down to win that whole bracket, I still won. I'm Nate, the winner, Creed, and I'm joined by some guy, Ben, I guess is his name. He's not a winner.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm not a winner.
Yeah. So what's up, Ben?
We are reading a proper book, meta, media, whatever you call it, the book talks, the booktubes, the bookstagrams. We're finally reading one of those.
Yeah, we were going to do this last month because someone decided to move just because you had a few extra roommates that were skittering about and wouldn't die no matter how much poison you put down.
And the police presence was increasing because my neighbors upstairs were falling out of love with each other, let's just say. And they were not...
I thought your problem was the neighbors downstairs.
I had problems with them too. They were the source of some of the extra roommates. Then the neighbors upstairs were just beating the hell out of each other.
Oh, cool!
So,
great,
yeah.
Awesome. That's
so I had to move,
and yet you couldn't read The Maid during all that time.
No, I didn't get
really
The Maid
disappointed,
finished.
Ben.
But I read The Maid now, and that's the book we're talking about, The Maid by Nita Prose, which can't be her real name.
Yeah, it is.
Gonna do a quick about the author, real quick.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad you did this because I do not research this.
So you will be interested to know.
Will I? That doesn't sound like me. I don't sound like
I think you'll be interested.
Person.
So every book we talk about, like our number one criticism is needs more editing. Well, fortunately, I'm guessing we won't have that problem with this book because Nita Prose is an editor.
Yeah, needs better marketing.
We will talk about the marketing. But yeah, Nita Prose is an editor. She has been in the book industry for a long time, but this is her first novel. She worked primarily as an editor. She is the vice president and director of editing, I forget her exact title, at Simon & Schuster Toronto.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so she's actually a pretty important lady in the book industry, so be careful what you say if you want her to say.
No, we're gonna be completely honest. We already know our book careers are dead, so we have no fear or filter.
Kansas law can't stop us. So
yeah, goddamn right it can't.
And I know that from her copious interviews, she has her marketing materials memorized. She has repeated in every interview the exact same thing that is in the little about the author section at the end of the book, where she got the idea for The Maid from being at a fancy hotel in London, and she walked in on a maid who was currently trying to make up the bed, but the maid had her jogging pants and was like folding them up or something, and she was embarrassed that she'd left her jogging pants.
Yeah, how embarrassing, right? You might as well just be naked and covered in oil and maple syrup, you disgusting pig. How could you?
And so she realized at that point that maids are like, they know a lot about the people staying in the rooms, and and we don't know anything about them, and we don't ever think about them, and we never say hi to them, and there's a little bit of like, you're very wealthy, and you've been very wealthy for a long time, and maybe the rest of the world doesn't interact with maids quite the way you do, but I don't know. There was a little bit of that air in her story, and all the interviews I watched were these like book club mom types who are like, "Oh yeah, it is so weird to think about the fact that like the working class are people." And I don't want to give her too hard a time for that, but let's
not think about that. Like, who can you imagine?
Yeah.
Who? That's a chilling thought if the people you're exploiting for their labor, like, had feelings and hopes and dreams and shit. Put that out of your head. Put that way out of your head.
And so that's what gave her the idea to write a story about a maid. And when she imagined
a killer maid who has all your secrets? Oh my God, Ben.
Yeah, so she, and you may not be surprised to learn this, classic author story. They're in a plane, right? And they don't have any paper, and cell phones don't exist, she doesn't carry a laptop.
They summon one of their unpaid interns. They say, "Bend over, I'm going to write this into your back."
No. So there was simply no way she could get this genius thought out of her head other than to scribble it on a napkin. It's the classic napkin story.
Get the fuck out of here. You know, what? You can't think of this. Like, you can't hold this thought in your head.
You can't type it in your cell phone. You can't pull out your laptop. No, you can't. No, she only had a napkin because
and
that
some lipstick that was running low, and she had to get it out real quick.
That's the story people tell. Look, the way she came up with the maid, like, I know she's got to say something, and boy, does she have a prepared answer for that. And it's just...
And we're going to find out in about 20 years that she stole it from a maid who was writing a book about a maid. And she's like, well, you're not a real person. This is mine now. I'll edit your story for you. I'm a big shot at Simon & Schuster. She just walked away with the story.
No, she doesn't strike me as a bad lady, but there's a little bit of like...
She doesn't give you Bella Mackie vibes, is what you're telling me.
Bella Mackie doesn't strike me as a bad lady either. She's just maybe a little self-absorbed. And maybe that's like a tenth of the self-absorption of Bella Mackie might be present here. But so she hastily scribbles on a napkin. I don't know if I believe this story. Maybe she did, but you had a phone. I would have just put that in an Evernote or something. Or Scrivener or whatever. How do you pronounce that?
Google Docs to your phone?
Anything. Email yourself, text somebody.
Yeah. Text yourself? Yeah.
Anyway, so she couldn't do that. So she scribbles the prologue on a napkin. And that's the prologue that says, I'm your maid. I know everything about you.
Oh my God.
And you could tell as she developed the story, she wandered pretty darn far away from that initial concept. Because...
What?
The maid,
Ben,
I
haven't read this book yet. I'm actually reading this as we're talking, and you're spoiling it. What are you talking about? That sounds like the book is going to be about a maid who knows all your secrets and like blackmails and or kills powerful elites. Is that not what this is about, Ben?
No, in fact, this maid knows less about people than most. She's actively assumed wrong about almost everyone she encounters. So,
well,
she doesn't know them from cleaning their rooms.
Throw out everything.
Yeah, she doesn't actually know anything about them from cleaning their rooms. She didn't learn anything, and she's not even really capable of making those kinds of insights because we're going to find out she exhibits autism-like symptoms.
Yeah. First note: she has autism.
Well, this is an interesting thing. So, you suggested that we sort of preview the tone the episode's going to take up front. And so I'm going to say I like the book. I gave it a pretty good rating. I have some issues, and most of them relate to the marketing, but some of them do relate to the character of Molly, who is inconsistent. And
Molly
I think
the maid? How absurd! I don't get it, Ben. A lot of people said that. Is that a thing? Am I missing a cultural reference?
I think this is supposed to be funny.
Oh, so this... Damn it, Ben! I brought my detective pipe! Are you telling me this isn't a detective mystery story? A closed room mystery story that I can solve by assembling the clues? You son of a bitch! I'm
literally looking at the back of the book, and it says, I'm just gonna read the back of the book to you guys. I don't usually do this, but this is what we're doing here. Okay. Molly Gray is not like everyone else. She struggles with social skills and often misreads people's intentions. But no matter, She throws herself with gusto into her work as a hotel maid at the 5-star Regency Grand. Her obsessive love of cleaning and proper etiquette makes her an ideal fit for the job. She delights in donning her crisp uniform each morning, stocking her cart with miniature soaps, and returning guest rooms to a state of perfection. But Molly's orderly life is upended the day she enters the suite of the infamous and wealthy Charles Black, only to find Mr. Black dead, very dead, in his bed.
Cadaverific, some people might say, 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
Perplexed by Molly's unusual behavior, the police immediately suspect her of murder. We're going to talk about that. She's soon caught in a web of deception with no idea how to untangle herself. Fortunately for Molly...
Web implies there's a lot more going on, but okay, all right, keep going.
Well, fortunately for Molly, Nate, she has friends she never knew she had, and they will join her in a search for clues about what really happened to Mr. Black. This never happens, by the way.
No. No, actually, not at all, really.
But will they be able to find the real killer before it's too late?
Nope.
No. And that's actually that whole last paragraph about searching for clues and finding the real killer, that actually does not happen in this book. That is just a lie. And it is described as a clue-like locked room mystery. It is not a murder mystery with tremendous heart. Nope. What begins as a sprightly murder mystery turns into a meaningful and at times even delicate portrait of growth. No. And excellent and totally entertaining. The most interesting and endearing main character in a long time. That one's from Stephen King. So,
well, Stephen King. if I'm to know, I don't know a whole lot about him, but I'm pretty sure he made like a lamp into a monster. That might have just been a Family Guy skit.
That was a Family Guy skit.
I could believe it.
Stephen King's main characters are all alcoholic writers from the Northeast. So he doesn't have a lot of range.
Published through Simon and Schuster.
I don't think so. I actually don't think so. I like Molly as a character. So I liked what I read. I think the most important thing you can do with this book, though, is go in with absolutely no expectations or the correct expectations.
Well, Ben, I've got my detective pipe, okay? So that's how we're going in here. I'm solving this mystery, goddammit.
Okay, well, you're going to be very disappointed. So I'm going to tell you, this is ostensibly a mystery. It's not solvable. There's no way with the information presented you could figure out who done it with any degree of certainty. The only way you could get the answer is a blind guess. It's not even close. That's not just me being bitter. I think you agree, Nate. It's just not.
It was impossible to solve this mystery, no matter how often I puffed on my detective pipe, Ben.
I would go so far as to say it's impossible even to guess this mystery. Like,
no.
I think if most people were given three guesses,
not even
they'd get
suspect.
Yeah. If most people were given 3 guesses as to which character did it, they would get it wrong. Like 99% of people would get it wrong. And that's not, in this case, a good thing.
Yes.
What this is a character study of a woman who struggles to interpret social cues and exhibits several other characteristics of autism, but her condition is never named as autism because the author quite rightly doesn't want to own that. Because of the wildly inconsistent nature of it.
And also because, I don't know if you caught this, Ben, it was tucked away in like the prologue of the prologue, where we're transported to an alternate reality that's exactly like our own, except they don't know what autism is. They don't have a diagnosis for that.
It's really like a zombie movie. Like, it takes place in modern times, but you know how in zombie movies nobody knows the word zombie? Like, they've never heard of zombies before. Yeah. That's what this is. But with autism, cameras, cell phone records, door lock records.
Anything you could use to solve a mystery in the modern day or
Yeah.
recognize someone who has autism. Yes.
Yeah, and I would go so far as to say that the way people treat Molly, I watched an
Fucked up.
interview where Nita Prose said in her past she was a special education teacher, and an experience she had was taking her kids on a field trip and seeing them be treated absolutely terribly by the general public to the point where it kind of shocked her. And I don't doubt she had that experience, but I don't know. I find it difficult.
Was this at like a super rich person school or something, and it was just a bunch of rich asshole snobs, most of whom were probably British, let's be honest?
She's Canadian, but
Oh,
which
man.
explains why the police are so terrible. If you follow true crime, Canadian police are like, I think the horses they ride solve more crimes than they do.
The Mounties are where the real police work is done.
I don't doubt she had that experience. I don't doubt people with autism still struggle to find acceptance, and they're still made fun of, and they experience all this ostracism and bullying. But I don't know, in my working life, I've never seen anything like this. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've worked with a few people who definitely did struggle with interpreting social cues and things like that. And for the most part these days, we tend to give a little leeway to that.
But not because this is an alternate reality, Ben. They don't know what autism is.
I've seen a lot of neurodivergent readers saying that this really reads like a neurotypical person's idea of neurodivergence.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And it does not quite line up with the actual experience. I can't say anything about that. This isn't something I struggle with. I don't think. Maybe maybe I do, but not to this extent, certainly. So there is a wildly inconsistent.
You should have your wife look at it. I guess she doesn't like to read, so get the audiobook.
I talked to her pretty extensively about it, and there's a combination of Molly is struggling with basically autism, and she's led an incredibly sheltered life.
That's probably true.
I think you have to adopt a certain kind of whimsical fantasy logic for this story to work.
Yeah, because they don't know what autism is, Ben. I keep telling you this. We're in a fantasy world.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's not just that.
Yeah, they're at the Regency Grand, a really fancy hotel, but that hotel still serves continental breakfast, Ben.
Every hotel does that.
No! Full breakfast bar. If I'm gonna pay the extra money, you better have a full-on breakfast menu. You better have a restaurant attached to your hotel, son.
Okay, well...
You give me a bagel, I'm not coming back.
Okay, I stay at Holiday Inn Express most of the time.
Yeah, but that's not the Regency Grand, Ben.
No, it's
okay?
true. It's
Holiday Inn
a lot
Express,
cheaper.
it makes sense that the Holiday Inn Express has a continental breakfast, okay? But you're at the
Sponsor
Regency
us, Holiday Inn
Grand.
Express.
Yes. Holiday Inn Express. It's better than Motel 6. There you go.
Yeah,
There's your plug. I would stay at a Holiday Inn Express all day, every day, to not go into a Motel 6 or a Super 8.
A Holiday Inn Express is like the McDonald's of hotels. You know, sometimes you just want to know what you're getting.
That's fair. That's fair. that's an apt analogy. Yeah.
But yeah, so we should probably just get on with it. I'm just going to say, I think marketing this as a mystery, the whole reason I came to this was it won a bunch of mystery awards and debut novel awards.
Yeah, this is a Ben pick.
It is a Ben pick.
Yeah.
Going in thinking it's a mystery puts your brain in an analytical mode that is going to make this story way worse than if they said it's just a whimsical little character study of a lady who has some social awkwardness.
So, first note, she has autism. Second note, Grandma died. Third note, Mr. Black died. Alright, Molly the maid, which is funny, I guess. I don't understand the joke.
I think it's just alliterative.
Oh. Okay. Molly the maid, she had a grandma who looked after her because mom sucked, dad sucked. They both ran away and died together because they suck. And grandma was like, I'll look after you. Blah, I'm dead. But don't worry, Ben. She left Molly with a nice, what was it? The Fabergé egg. She left her with a big old chunk of money that we'll learn in a flashback was stolen by her ex Wilbur, who I was hoping would somehow be the killer, but he never shows up in the present time. And Molly is struggling, like Spider-Man perhaps, to pay rent. Mm-hmm. And she's got a crappy supervisor named Cheryl who's trying to take all of her money. And then there's Sunita, who doesn't talk much. And Juan Manuel, that is his full name. You will always use his full name. You will never just call him Juan. He burned himself today. That's kind of weird. And he's sleeping in free rooms. That's also strange. Who could have killed Mr. Black out of all these colorful people, Ben? Find out never. Find out at the very end of the book. So.
Okay.
So
this isn't
Molly,
the best summary we've ever done.
Molly be cleaning, and she walks in on Mr. Black, he's laying in the bed, and she's like, "Oh, I need to put your shoes up and tidy up." And I saw Wikipedia seems to think she also might have OCD. I don't know about that. I think that
she doesn't seem to have any compulsions.
Didn't know, yeah. So she's like, I gotta fix your room up, Mr. Black. Also, it's really weird that you're not breathing, responding to me, and oh my god, you're dead. And she has a panic attack and passes out. And when she comes to, she has alerted the authorities twice. And they finally have come here. And now, we have the rest of the story. Ben, interject. What all am I missing?
Well, I guess that was pretty okay.
Also, there's a flashback of her recalling her entire day leading up to Mr. Black dying. That was my biggest complaint, besides the fact that you can't solve the mystery. There's a lot of very long flashbacks in this book. But go ahead, Ben.
So, to start off, to sort of add to what you've said about Molly she cannot tell when people are making fun of her. She cannot tell when people are joking. She cannot tell.
They called her a Roomba. I don't even know what a Roomba is. That's not my name. My name's Molly, not Roomba.
They call her a Roomba, and she doesn't know what a Roomba is. And the book...
Now you know how I feel when Ben starts busting out songs and song genres. It's like, I don't understand. Wow, Ben. Now you realize you were the bad guy all along. How do you feel, you jerk?
So, one would think Molly might know what a Roomba is, but she doesn't.
Yeah, because it's her competition.
And this is,
it's the thing
that's
that will
true.
Replace her someday.
So this is kind of the fine line the book walks, and I think this is pretty much why she does not want to own the autism diagnosis here. Because Molly is a combination of naive, infantile, and autistic. She doesn't know a lot of the things she should know, and that really has nothing to do with her brain chemistry. It's just a quirk of her. She's very quirky. Molly basically made it through life up to this point by running things past her grandmother to see what was actually going on. And with her grandmother dead, she is trying and failing to make it in the world on her own. And this ultimately all comes to a head when she finds Mr. Black dead. So when she finds Mr. Black dead, I'm going to yada yada a little bit here, but
okay.
The police wind up taking her to interrogate her to see what she knows. And they ask her, did you know anything more about Mr. Black than just being his maid? And she's like, nope. Did you know anything about his trophy wife, Giselle, besides just being her maid? She says,
Ben, don't gloss over that.
I'm not glossing over that.
Okay, all right, I'll let you go, and then I'm going to interrupt you like I always do. Go on.
Thank you. So she says she does not know Giselle, but she does. Because what the police don't know is that she's currently having a flashback.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
And she's flashing back to Giselle and her relationship.
She's flashing back for a long time.
So it all started one summer day.
Let me tell you about how I first met Giselle, and then how we became friends, and then a few interactions that I had with her over the years. And the last time I saw her, where she was crying in the bathroom on the day that her husband died, and then there was this one time she had a black eye, or no, that was Rodney, but and then I expected the police, like the next scene, to be like, "Oh my God, Molly, are you okay? You've been staring blankly off into space for the last 20 minutes. We've got an ambulance on the way."
Yeah, so Giselle...
Ben was having a flashback.
I was having a flashback. So Giselle is Molly's friend. They are friends. But Giselle is kind of a morally ambiguous character.
Did you think that they were actually friends, Ben?
I did.
Or did you ever doubt
by
that?
the time they finished the flashback, I did think they were friends. But I got the vibe that if it comes to Giselle or Molly, Giselle would not hesitate to throw Molly under the bus. Giselle is a survive at all costs kind of gal.
Yeah, I agree.
I did think she honestly liked Molly. The way their relationship kind of goes is Giselle recognizes that Molly's a little different. She sort of tries to help Molly out a bit. They chat. They do each other's makeup and gal pal stuff. And Giselle winds up confiding a bunch of stuff in Molly about, Mr. Black is physically and emotionally abusive, and he doesn't give her any independence or any money. She doesn't have any property in her name, and she has an airtight prenup, which, because now that Mr. Black is dead, that does seem like an anti-motive for Giselle to have killed him, because a lot of people think, they immediately assume that Giselle did it, but really, Giselle does not benefit at all from Mr. Black being dead, and in fact, she is in a worse financial position because of it. So that would be important if this were a mystery.
Now, she could spin that off into a book writing career. If I did it, here's how I would have done it. The Giselle Black story.
What might have happened on the night of June 12th, 1994. And let's just walk through them.
Well, first of all, this is very difficult for me to do this. It was very difficult for me because it's hypothetical.
There's a little bit of drama mentioned at the beginning. Giselle does not get along with Mr. Black's first family, the original Mrs. Black. She actually gets along great with her because the original Mrs. Black has a lot of sympathy for what Giselle is probably going through because she went through the same thing. But the children are jerks. There's two sons.
Children? Oh, there are? I only remember the daughter.
There's two sons that
Shit, I'm a bad detective. What if one of them committed the crime, Ben?
Well, don't worry, because the actual detectives never look into that either.
Okay, all right.
Two sons that are exact copies of their father. They're drinking, partying, whatever. And then the daughter who wants to inherit the company. She's the one that actually benefits from the death. We will not investigate that either.
I don't really feel like doing work is hard. Do you know that? You have to get out of the office?
It was
I don't know if I'm up for that, man.
The Canadian police operate on a he who smelt it dealt it policy. If you found the body, you probably killed him.
Yeah, that's, you know what? Just arrest the maid. She probably did it, right?
Yeah, it's probably the maid. It's probably this obviously
She
struggling
alerted
maid.
She alerted the hotel staff to call the police. That's probably just to cover her tracks or something. I don't know. But you know what? It doesn't have to be airtight. Just put her behind bars.
Yeah. So she tells the cops she doesn't know Giselle, but she does know Giselle. So that's interesting.
Ooh.
Now the weird thing, this raised some flags for me because Throughout the book, Molly is going to do things where, like, she doesn't understand how anything works at all, and she doesn't understand, she can't seem to see anything from anyone else's perspective. But when it comes to the police, she always knows exactly what to lie to them about.
Well, she watched a lot of 1980s cop shows with her grandma.
Specifically Columbo.
1970s? Okay.
It's Columbo. That's
Perfect.
the only one they mention.
Perfect. So she knows what the cops are going to look for and how to cover it up.
Yep, she knows that when the cop turns to you and says, one more thing, you're in trouble.
You know, there's only one thing that I'm not clear about. Actually, there is one thing. One other thing. One more question, sir.
Oh, also, I'm going to cut in here Tim Curry saying in flagrante delicto, whatever.
In flagrante delicto.
Because that is going to come up a lot. I don't know why. I think it's a catchphrase.
Oh.
They say it all the time.
Wait a minute. Tim Curry, and Tim Curry was in Clue, and he was
where it's
actually
from.
the bad guy in one of the 3 possible endings. Oh
yeah.
my God. It's all coming together, Ben.
Yep. No, it desperately...
Where was Tim Curry on the night of the murder? And by the night, I mean the day. Oh my God. Book him. Canadian police. Book him. I'm going to go to Tim Hortons.
It desperately wants to be Clue, but it has absolutely nothing to do with Clue.
Well, that's because they don't have Colonel Mustard.
Let's talk about Rodney now and Juan Manuel.
Yeah.
So
Rodney.
Molly's been helping Rodney and his good friend Juan Manuel with a tough situation they found themselves in. Juan Manuel, as you may have guessed from his name, is an immigrant, of course. And he has lost his work permit. And he's still working in the hotel. Somehow the hotel doesn't know he lost his work permit. You'd think when they went to
they did.
No, I don't think they do.
Huh.
Rodney somehow keeps them from knowing because, like, why would they continue to employ him?
Well, I think that the hotel owner maybe, just maybe, a little bit incompetent. I'm just going to throw that out there. Like, maybe he's kind of...
Well, that's 100% true, but, like,
so great.
When you're doing payroll, right, and you run his paycheck through... Like, if you're going to hire somebody illegally, you can't, like, take taxes out of their paycheck, right? Because there's the numbers don't line up.
You know, I'm willing to.
You have to
I'm
pay
willing
him
to defer to
cash.
your expert opinion here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that would be perfect if he were the bartender, because then you could just pay him in tips.
Yeah, he could just take his tips.
Oh, damn! But what does Juan Manuel do? He's a dishwasher. Is that? Because I know he supposedly burns his hand on a dishwasher, right?
Juan Manuel is a cook.
Okay, all right. And
hang on.
Wait a minute, Ben. I'm having a flashback here. Hold on. They have a cook on the premises and a bar, but they're still serving continental breakfast? Something doesn't add up here, Ben. Something smells in the Regency Grand, and it's not just Mr. Black's rotting, decomposing corpse, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so he needed to renew his work visa. For whatever reason, he didn't know how to do that. He couldn't just go to wherever he got it in the first place. And
they lack technology in this world, Ben.
He decided to get Rodney's help. Rodney said he knew a lawyer. Rodney basically screwed him. Trapped him into working for Rodney, and then Rodney winds up threatening his family too. Rodney's a very well-connected petty drug dealer. By the way, Rodney's a drug dealer. Molly thinks Rodney is in love with her.
They went on a date one time. It lasted about 3 minutes, and he looked at his cell phone the whole time. But if that's not true love, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and so Molly has basically unwittingly been cleaning up after
powdered donuts, Ben.
Juan Manuel cutting cocaine all night.
Powdered donuts, Ben.
And
that's what happens when she flocks it on the room in that flashback.
They have to do this in the hotel for unspecified reasons.
Because where else could you go to be in private? Other than a place with a bunch of other people
Yeah, it may
checkmate, Ben.
It may seem like moving large quantities of cocaine through populated hallways constantly every day and doing things in the shadiest possible way and using card keys, which every swipe is tracked in rooms where people aren't supposed to be staying. And there should be cameras all over the place.
This is the Regency Grand. They haven't updated their hotel in about 40 years, Ben. They still use, well, I guess they use key cards, right?
They
but
do.
they use the ones from the 90s, where there's no, like, central computer or anything. It's just a way to get into your room.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's how that works. So it may seem like this is the absolute stupidest way to do cocaine, but it's not. It's actually a brilliant plan that has made Mr. Black lots of money.
Only about 5 or 6 other people know about it.
Juan Manuel is a one-man cocaine machine. I guess there's 3 people in on it.
Yeah, why did you need Juan Manuel in on this?
Yeah, it's a really bad drug plan. Mr. Black and Rodney have been running drugs through the hotel, and literally everybody knows it except Molly. So, except Molly and the police.
Molly says they're powdered donuts, Ben.
Yep.
I can't believe you're eating powdered donuts by the bed. That's really weird.
Mm-hmm. Well, not for me, but yeah, for someone.
What would happen if Molly didn't come in there? Who would clean that up and then not report all the strange white powder everywhere?
Well, it must have been going on for quite some time.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't know.
You didn't wipe up your cocaine?
Maybe that's the flour he cuts it with. I don't know. But so Molly thinks she and Rodney are dating. Now, Rodney wants to take Molly out to the Olive Garden on their second date in 2 years.
Ooh, Oh, I was going to say Olive Garden, that's a little fast, right?
So because Molly can't interpret social cues, she doesn't know that most people go on dates more than once a year.
Yeah, which begs the question, why do you want to date at all?
Well, because he doesn't have chest hair, Nathaniel. I don't know how a woman could love a man with chest hair. By the way, fuck you. Molly?
You know what, Ben? I second that. I'm with you 100% of the way.
Yeah. I don't care for your judgmental nature, Molly. Maybe I think you would be more sympathetic if you didn't come at me like that.
So here's the biggest thing in this book where she doesn't understand social cues, right? Not even the why were you eating a powdered donut over there by the bed. It's they go to the Olive Garden and he doesn't get the free salad and breadsticks, and she doesn't realize that is a mark of an evil man.
There's literally no other reason to go to the Olive Garden.
Yes! What else are you doing? If I go to the Olive Garden and someone turns that down, I'm immediately getting up and leaving and calling the police.
Yeah, so we had a disagreement, you and I, over whether or not parts of this book was supposed to be funny. And I said, when she says that her favorite restaurant is the Olive Garden, and they draw attention specifically to the evil man not wanting the soup, salad, and breadsticks, I said that was intentional comedy, and you didn't think it was. Explain yourself.
Ben, Olive Garden, number 1, is delicious. Number 2...
Olive Garden, number 1, is the butt of every joke.
Yeah, because they hate him because they ain't him, right? Yeah. Also, the evil man not getting the salad and the breadsticks, right? You know, I don't know if that's something I really want to joke about, Ben. Because that is some, like, serious level evil in this world. Like, you know that man is up to no good, but she doesn't see it. And I feared for Molly's life at that moment when he said, "No, I don't want the breadsticks."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I'm starting to get lightheaded with just I'm reliving the flashback, Ben.
Yeah, so that was a bit sus. And then Molly goes home. I'm yada yadaing again. She goes home, and Giselle is waiting there for her.
My note says, "I need my gun," followed by, "and she saw that as a challenge."
So Giselle tells Molly that she left something in the hotel room in the fan.
That's where you put your gun if you need it in an emergency, Ben. If someone's breaking into your hotel room, you know, all right, I'm going to run into the bathroom. I'm going to immediately run out of the bathroom, grab a chair, run back into the bathroom, set it up, climb up, or maybe I climb up on the counter, I'm not sure, and then I get up there and I unscrew it, right? Just in time to retrieve my gun and have it ready to defend myself.
Okay, so here's a slight spoiler. Janelle didn't do it. Or Giselle, sorry. Giselle
What?
didn't
She
do it.
do it, even though she has, like you said, no motive to do it.
Right. So why did she hide her gun that she legally owns?
Why did she hide her gun? Especially because he didn't die from a bullet wound.
Nope.
He died from what they originally thought was a cardiac arrest. And then I think it was like sexy choking or something.
And she hid her gun before he even died.
Yeah. Why did she do that, Ben? Come on, Detective Ben. Tell me the answer.
To make her look suspicious?
Because they need a smoking gun for Molly to take the fall. Even though, again, Mr. Black was not killed by bullet.
No.
It's so the police, they said Molly in the hotel suite with the revolver, and the next character over, the next player, showed them the revolver, and they failed to mark that off of their list. So when it came time for accusations, they got it completely wrong.
Yeah, so Molly winds up taking the gun. At that point, she also finds Mr. Black's wedding ring that he threw across the room because he had a fight with Giselle. And he's got...
Pawns that.
What was funny to me was what was described as obviously a man's wedding ring encrusted with jewels and diamonds.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Oh, hold on. I missed that one, Ben.
Yeah. He has a wedding ring that is, it's not just a band.
Yeah, the man usually has a band, guys.
It's a thick ring with a lot of diamonds on it. You know, manly shit.
Yeah.
And
well, maybe he didn't have chest hair either.
I decidedly not.
This is the man who cuts all of his cocaine in house at a hotel,
a hotel he doesn't own.
I was gonna say he doesn't own it, but it almost sounds like they're trying to imply secretly he does, because
but he doesn't.
Her boss is like, Mr. Black does not own this hotel. And
so
then
why does he keep
like
cutting cocaine there?
well,
because it's not like a cheap
does he have
hotel
the
either.
deed to the hotel? Okay, it kind of is a cheap hotel.
No, it's not though.
Continental breakfast, Ben. That's the smoking gun to all of this.
Fancy people stay here. The Chens stay here. Molly's getting $100 tips.
Yeah, but the Chens, they like their bagels and their cereal bar, okay?
Look, Molly's getting $100 tips and she still can't afford the rent.
Because her apartment is in the expensive district, even though it's
it's not up to code.
It's a dump.
Yeah. So, Molly pawns the ring, right?
Molly's landlord is the landlord from Spider-Man 2 and 3 with Tobey Maguire. That's how I pictured it.
Hi.
Hi. What's hi? Can I spend it?
I have a paycheck due this week. And
You're a month late again. Again.
I promise as soon as I...
If promises were crackers, my daughter would be fat.
Molly, she pawns the wedding ring to make rent money. Now, Molly is... This is another reason why we don't want to own the autism diagnosis here, because Molly knows how to lie to the police. Molly knows that, presumably, from watching Columbo, that the police might be interested in a gun that was hidden in a fan that she's now being asked to smuggle out. Like, she knows what she's doing is wrong. And she knows how to pawn wedding rings, but she doesn't know what cocaine is. So after she pawns the ring, she winds up getting called back to talk to the cops. And now the cops know that she has a conversation with the cops where the cops are like, we know you know Giselle. We know you've been getting big fancy tips from her. Everybody that you work with says you're a weirdo. Where are the drugs going, Molly?
Tell me where the drugs are.
Where were the other drugs going?
So Detective Stark...
Swear to me!
Swear to me!
Detective Stark is one of the worst police officers imaginable. It is almost as if she has had no training whatsoever on how to investigate a crime.
Detective Stark was the murderer, Ben. Did you think of that?
That could be, because she's really desperate to blame anyone. Through no fault of my own, I have watched hundreds of hours of interrogation videos.
Through no fault of your own. You were tricked into it, Ben.
My loving spouse is a true crime addict, and she watches police interrogation videos. And they're on the TV, so I have to watch them too. And I have learned a surprising amount about how to interrogate a murder suspect.
Yeah, the first thing you do as a suspect is say, I want my lawyer, and I'm not going to talk until they get here.
Yes, that is the smartest thing you can do as a suspect. And that is exactly what the police don't want you to do. So what they're going to do is build rapport. They're going to try to make you feel comfortable. They're going to try to make you feel safe, like you're not a suspect, like you can still talk your way out of this. Like, we don't need to get lawyers involved in this. What they don't do is come in saying, I have all the cards. These are all my cards. And I know you did it. And this is everything I know about you. This is all the evidence I have.
Where are the drugs?
Where are the drugs going, you piece of shit?
Swear to me!
You better confess right now, because I already have enough to put you away. And there's, well...
I adopted the darkness.
But there's some benefit to you confessing. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you're going to want to confess.
If you confess now, they might give you a lower sentence. Instead of life in prison, it will only be 25 years.
To life in prison. We're really haggling over the possibility of parole. And if you talk to a lawyer for one goddamn second, it all goes away. Yeah,
I know you're a criminal mastermind, Molly. I know you don't understand the difference between cocaine and powdered donuts, but god damn it, I know you did it. I know you carefully planned this entire thing. I know you killed Mr. Black, and then you called the police and hung out with the body in order to throw me off the trail. I'm too smart for that, Molly. I'm too smart!
Yeah, so Molly calls Rodney. She's being treated as a suspect now. She really can't go back into the hotel. So she tells Rodney, you got to get the gun out of my vacuum. She knows enough about social cues to know that they're gonna probably blame all this on her.
We're gonna search her vacuum.
Yeah, and she tells him, there's a gun in my vacuum. I need you to get that out of there. There's and I pawned the wedding ring. I didn't need to tell you about that, but I did. Can you go buy that back?
And Rodney's like, oh, hey, don't go anywhere tonight. Don't tell anyone. You don't want an alibi, all right? And nope. I'll go take care of all of this. This is going to be great. Yeah,
so Rodney goes and immediately tells the police that Molly definitely did it. Here's a gun. Here's a wedding ring.
Yeah.
And Molly...
She strangled him and then hid the gun on her person, and then pawned the wedding ring.
So Molly
Checkmate.
is brought in again, this time under arrest, charged with everything, and Detective Stark comes at her.
My question here was, who the hell did not get her a lawyer? It's very clear that she is not capable on her own.
Well, so here's how this would have gone if Nita Prose cared at all about the crime aspect of the crime novel. Detectives are usually, first off, the stars of the crime novels. They usually that's who solves mysteries, right? So what you don't do is you don't take somebody who has more or less been cooperating and place them under arrest right away and tell them they're a giant piece of shit and you know what they did. Just admit it.
Spit on them just a little
bit. What you do is you show up at Molly's apartment and you're like, hey, we have some more questions for you. We need you to come down to the station.
Brownies.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. You can arrest her at any time. So you bring her down voluntarily at first, but not really. Like, she doesn't know this yet, but if she refuses to come, then you arrest her. So get her there. Let her think she's under her own power. Let her think she can talk this out. Now, you've probably already sensed there's something not quite right with her. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get her sitting down and you're going to want to real quick explain her rights to her, just a formality. Just want to make sure you understand all this. And you want to get her on camera saying that she understands, maybe putting it in her own words, really lay that groundwork. Then you're going to want to establish that she does indeed know right from wrong, or at least society's expectation of right from wrong. Molly, do you know anything about the murder that you're not telling us? Is there anything you can think of that was in that room, anything you saw in that room, any objects that may have been in that room since you've cleaned it that you don't know of? Because you know now there's a gun and there's a pawned wedding ring. You want to catch her lying about the wedding ring, because once you catch her on camera lying about the wedding ring, then her credibility is blown. You could say that this whole I don't understand things is an act. Because it is.
Or alternatively, you can say, Molly, I found the wedding ring. What have you got to say for yourself? You're fucking busted, you dumb idiot. Here's handcuffs. We're taking you away to jail.
You definitely don't want to tell Molly you have the wedding ring and the gun until she lies about it. You want her to lie about that in the interrogation, because she's gonna, because she hasn't told you about it so far. And once she lies about it, once she's concocted an entire story about it on camera that you can play in court, then you drop the bomb. Fortunately for Molly, Detective Stark is the worst detective in the history of police work, because she does none of that. She comes at Molly super hard, and Molly asks for a lawyer almost immediately.
You goddamn idiot. Hey, I know you asked for a lawyer, but how about this time we play with take-backsies? I'm going to give you a moment to unask for a lawyer so I can keep yelling at you.
Yeah. So that's Detective Stark's approach. Because here's the crazy thing is, Molly is guilty of crimes.
Yeah.
She tampered with evidence. She lied to the police. She interfered with the investigation. She's committed several crimes. I can prove beyond a reasonable doubt felony offenses. Molly could go to jail for what she's done in this book. It's very easy right now to put all that on the table and be like, and first off, obviously, even Detective Stark says, somewhat rudely, Molly, you're not smart enough to be the kingpin of this criminal empire.
We're not actually here for you. We're just going to use this as leverage to get to the real killer.
Right. I need you to tell me everything I know. You're obviously protecting Giselle. I think you're protecting Giselle, who I think maybe is the killer. So I'm going to basically point out to you that I have you on grand larceny. You took a ring that did not belong to you and you sold it. That's a felony. I have you on interfering with a police investigation. You lied to us. You misdirected us. You destroyed evidence. You took evidence from the room that should have been immediately turned over to the police. Some of these charges are trumped up, but there's enough there that Molly could go to jail. And anyone who's spent 5 seconds with Molly knows that Molly will not do well in jail. She's already passed out 3 times on the way here.
Yeah.
So any amount of jail time is an eternity to Molly. So even if I could put her in jail for 1 year, which I 100% could, that would be enough to make her flip on Giselle, I think. But Detective Stark doesn't do that. Molly lawyers up.
She wants Molly to go down for the whole thing, like an idiot.
Fortunately, there is a minor character for the first 2/3 of the book called Mr. Preston.
I actually forgot his name. I did not write it down at any point in my note-taking.
He is a kindly old doorman who used to date her grandmother.
and is her grandfather. He mentions this. It goes right over Molly's head, but not over his daughter's head.
He's not Molly's grandfather.
Is he not?
No.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay, how is he related, Ben?
They're
he
not
dated
related.
her. I'm pretty sure they are, Ben.
I don't think they are.
I think they are.
I don't think they are. We're going to have to look this up.
Is Mr. Preston Molly's grandfather? First thing, Preston is actually Molly's grandfather from bookclubchat.com.
I don't think so.
Let's see if Goodreads. Mr. Preston asked Gran to marry him when they were 16. She was pregnant at not yet 17. You know how things happen when love is fresh. The fly-by-night guy was not so, and a friend you could say. He was forced to leave by her parents. He was the one Gran asked to take care of Molly and keep an eye on Molly's mother. Charlotte understood between the lines as she looked at her father funny. Is there anything else you would like to tell me? I've said quite enough. I'm starting to see why it was so important to you. Mr. Preston, I think, didn't want to break Molly's heart or something because she could have enjoyed her grandfather all this time but couldn't, or maybe because of Gran.
I don't think there's any confirmation that he's her grandfather.
Yes, absolutely, unequivocally, Mr. Preston is Molly's grandfather, and Charlotte is her half-aunt. I think he was her grandfather. All we know for sure is Mr. P and Gran were once engaged at 16.
Right.
Since Gran's rich family banished her boyfriend and then kicked her out when they found out she was pregnant. Let's see. He has a lot of intimate knowledge of her. And
I'll give you he could have been. But
that's what I'm going with, Ben. I read between the lines, okay?
Okay. I didn't think he was.
I did.
Why wouldn't he have been involved in her life?
Because... Ben, why do they cut cocaine in the hotel that they don't own? Okay?
But
there's
he
a lot of questions here that do not make a whole lot of sense when you put it under a microscope or even a magnifying glass.
But he obviously cares about her quite a bit and wants to be involved in her life, so why would he not have?
Why didn't he step up and help her out with a lawyer who is his daughter before she called him, Ben, when he could have?
So anyway, Mr. Preston is a minor character.
I'm pretty sure that he's the grandfather.
I mean, I feel like maybe some amount of time should have been devoted to this beyond 2 sentences, but I guess...
Nah.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. Anyway, Mr. Preston shows up with a fairy god lawyer. She has never been mentioned at all in the book up until this point. But
was she not?
They mentioned that he has a daughter. He mentions that she had gone to law school or something.
Really briefly, they may have been like, "Oh yeah, how's your daughter doing? Oh, she passed law school," and then that was in a flashback, and they just moved on.
Yeah, Charlotte herself literally has never appeared in the book until this moment.
No, she appears at this exact moment.
She swoops in like goddamn Batman, and she throws the law book in everyone's face, and is like, You're going to get out on bail. I paid your bail. It was $800,000. And Molly's like, oh my God, I can't pay that back. And she's like, Molly, that's not how bail works. I'm
going to go talk to your landlord now and rip him several new assholes so you won't get evicted.
I don't think that, Nita Prose knows how bail works. Because the bail hearing is really weird. Like the bail hearing, first off, they take Molly there in her old lady teapot pajamas. and Detective Stark is like, this obviously confused woman in the pajamas is a criminal mastermind who murdered one of the wealthiest drug dealers on her own. And as I say it out loud, I realize there might be some flaws in my argument. But I think we should deny bail. She does not have a passport, a car, or any money.
And she's on the verge of being homeless, in fact. But maybe deny bail. And the judge looks at her and goes, "Are you kidding me? Fucking serious? Yeah, $800,000.
Yeah, Detective.
I bang my gavel. It's official.
Detective Stark is canonically a terrible detective. Like, even the judge thinks she's an idiot.
Yeah.
So...
Where did you learn to be a detective? Cooking school? Get the fuck out of here.
Gordon Ramsay solves more crimes than this lady. Okay, so Molly gets out. She's got her fairy god lawyer and her maybe daddy. And...
Maybe granddad.
What? I don't give a shit.
Yeah, you don't.
So, yeah, they go to Molly's crappy apartment in an embarrassingly dilapidated building.
And they're like, do you live here?
Do you live here? Why do you live here? You work at one of the fanciest hotels in the city. Don't you make like $1,000 a day in tips? But no.
Couldn't you just like stay in the hotel? I mean, they serve a continental breakfast. How busy could they be? Am I right?
So, she tells the landlord to fuck off, and he does, and then but that's supposed to be funny, Nathaniel. Like, that was obviously a joke. Her landlord is a comical man.
Her landlord is the landlord from the Spider-Man movies.
Yes, which is supposed to be funny.
And you have Bully Maguire in the YouTube poop being like, I missed the part where that's my problem, and throwing dirt in his eye.
Mm-hmm. And
and yelling, and you got pizza time, right?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about now. I assume this is some like early internet bullshit, but
no, this is modern day internet. You're gonna have to type it in, Bully Maguire.
I'm not doing this.
YTP.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. So
when you're editing the episode, you know,
I'm not.
You got clips. You got clips, Ben.
I'm not going to do that.
I believe in you.
I'm not going to do. I'm going to leave this in. And if you're a viewer and you know what the hell Nate's talking about, treasure that fond memory.
It's still on there.
I'm not doing a meme cut of this. But I will add Tim Curry saying in flagrante delicto one more time.
In flagrante delicto.
Now, Charlotte is like, okay, I'm a lawyer, so I'll solve the crime. Tell me everything you know.
Yeah, this is how they do things in Canada.
And so Mr. Preston and Molly, forgot her name there for a second.
Molly the maid, Ben.
Yep. They describe the entire drug operation and murder that they all know in detail and is really obvious to anybody who spends 5 minutes in this hotel. And she's like, holy shit, Dad, why do you work in a drug den?
Work here?
Yeah. And he's like, tickety boo, neighborino. I don't know why he talks like this.
What? What?
Okay, first
what
off, he says tickety boo 3 times at least. 3 times at least.
What?
He says everything will be tickety boo.
Tickety boo?
Tickety boo.
Everything is tickety-boo, tickety-boo, tickety-boo. Everything is tickety-boo on such a dreamy day-to-do.
I don't know what that means. If somebody told me everything will be tickety-boo, I'd be concerned. But coming from an elderly, admittedly pudgy man, I guess it's charming? I don't know, but
he's
like tickety-boo.
From an old-timey time, Ben. He's from the time when jazz and economic depression were the...
So I think Nita Prose, I don't want to be insulting here, but I get the vibe she's in like her 50s, and I get the vibe she's thinking of these people as like her grandparents. Not like a 25-year-old person in 2023's grandparents.
Ben, how old could they be, right?
Okay, I mean, I guess my grandparents are pretty old.
My grandparents are all dead. As of last year. It's really weird when I say that out loud. I'm grandparentless, Ben.
You're a grand orphan.
Oh my god. I am now the second living generation instead of the first. Or wait, the third. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm sure history will remember you.
Yeah.
I mean, you did a podcast. That's going to be out there forever.
Yeah.
Or until we stop paying for the hosting.
Maybe let's beam this into space so that hundreds of thousands of years later, aliens can receive our radio transmissions and be like, what the fuck is a maid? Why is Molly the maid funny? And then they'll know, like, oh, alliteration. Okay.
Yep.
Maybe it just had to be there.
Yeah, there's a lot of you had to be there humor. So Tickety Boo, we're gonna come up.
Boo, I see you.
Instead of just pulling all the camera footage and
they don't have cameras,
logs
Ben,
and any of the other information that would
our
immediately
clientele
exonerate
wants the
Molly,
utmost secrecy so they could transport their cocaine in peace. All right.
You're not wrong.
You know what would fix all this? If
camera?
He was the owner of the hotel and all those cameras were disabled for his cocaine dealing.
The phone records that prove that Molly called Rodney and that Rodney set her up.
You can't. No, cellular phone, untraceable.
The footage from the Olive Garden that shows that he was there talking to her the whole time.
There can't be a camera in the Olive Garden, but they would see him decline the breadsticks and the salad, and they would know something was up. You are right on that. They'd be like, that's our man right there. You see how he doesn't even go for the breadsticks? Jesus, get him, pull him in now. He's probably killing an orphan or something. Go.
Okay, so what we're gonna do instead is come up with a farcical plan to catch Rodney in the act
in flagrante delicto
of handling a duffel bag full of cocaine.
I said they're gonna get Rodney, lol, okay.
Which, here's the thing.
They also get Juan Manuel into this, Ben.
Yeah,
Remember
so they need Juan Manuel because Juan Manuel is going to be the one who can corroborate all the drug dealing. And they
not go down for it. Somehow.
Yeah, and not go down for it. So every night at 10 o'clock, Rodney monitors Juan Manuel cutting cocaine. So instead of just waiting for that and telling the cops to show up then, they decide...
sleep?
What?
When does he sleep?
When you have cocaine, you don't need sleep.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. You just replaced your sleep with cocaine.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah. So anyway, they come up with this plan. They're going to set Rodney up. Molly goes and she tells Rodney that first she tricks him into ordering a bunch of food at the Olive Garden, which she takes home to her friends, lol, because this is a joke. This is a farce. It's obviously intentionally comedic.
Ben, if you're going to Olive Garden, you're getting the tour of Italy. It's delicious. It's 3 meals in one, okay? You can have leftovers for days.
I have been to Olive Garden exactly once in my life.
What is wrong with you, Ben? Maybe you're the bad guy. Can we get this is on record, right? We're recording? Oh my god. Let's keep talking, Ben. Where were you on the night of the murder?
It's tough to say because there's no dates on any of this.
Oh, yeah. That means you have no alibi, probably.
I was at a different Italian restaurant.
Not looking good for you.
I actually live across the street from an Italian place. See, this is the thing.
Nice.
There's moderately priced Italian food literally everywhere. Why would you go to the Olive Garden?
Because the moderately priced Italian food is all the way downtown, Ben. That's so far away.
I live there's
we had a really good Italian place, and the owners of the building itself were like, we're gonna just demolish all this and turn it into a gigantic super convenience store gas station, but not like Sheetz that you can go get delicious breakfast sandwiches, more like a Casey's where you just wonder why.
I've never even heard of Casey's.
Yeah, because up until recently, it was rural Kansas, and now there's 3 of them, Ben. One time I was driving out of town, and it was on a road that I don't typically use. There was a fucking Casey's there. I was like, oh my god, they're multiplying.
Do they do MTOs?
They do what?
Made to order?
Yeah, but it's like pizza and breakfast pizza.
They're on their way. They'll get there.
I don't know, man. They've been around for a while. And
one of two things is going to happen. The Sheets, Wawa's, Rutter's conglomeration is going to work its way west. Or
yes, hurry up, please.
They're still trying to get up and down the coast right now.
Because, I lost my best Italian place in town to a not even Sheets convenience store.
Traded it for not even a meatball sub.
Goddamn right. It's a travesty. Anyway, I also put down benzos being blue makes it a street drug. Wrong. Incorrect. Also, benzos being used for depression. Wrong. Not true.
I don't think she was using them for depression.
Yeah, she was using them for depression. You don't do that for depression.
Incorrect. I think she was using them for fun.
Yeah. She better have.
Well, yeah, so they set Rodney up. They tell him that the cops are going to come and they're going to check the room for cocaine. So
they're going to check all the room for the cocaine.
Yeah, why don't they? Though. Like, honestly, if they suspect there's a drug operation in the hotel, which they do, why don't they just get a warrant and search the hotel and they'll find a bunch of cocaine? And then they could be like, yeah, there was a bunch of cocaine here. Arrest everyone.
Because we're pretty sure it's Molly. We've thrown the book at her. She's the drug kingpin / murderer. Mr. Black was obviously her employee, and when he got uppity, she strangled him / poisoned him.
Yeah.
Checkmate. Throw the book at her. I'm going to go off to Tim Hortons and Niagara Falls. I don't know what you do in Canada. Lumberjack?
Hockey.
Drink maple syrup straight from the tree.
Straight from the tree.
Straight from the tree.
I feel like you can't do that, but I don't know enough about maple syrup to argue. Oh, Canada. Anyway.
That one's for unsighted.
Yeah,
anyway.
Looking forward to having you on. Okay. Yeah, so Molly sets up Rodney. Cops come in, they catch him with a duffel bag full of cocaine, which means he murdered Mr. Black now, so they drop all charges immediately.
Yep, that's how that works.
Yep, that's how that works.
And also her lawyer is now a prosecutor, ?
Yep, always was. No conflict of interest.
They're in the hotel room, and she's questioning Molly, and it's like, wait, why are you even here? I'm not the defendant.
Yeah, so the final court scene, Rodney's on trial. Molly is the state's witness. So is Juan Manuel. And Molly is questioned first by her lawyer and then by the defense lawyer. And at a certain point, Molly says, oh, by the way, I saw who did it.
Which is not something you can just do in the courtroom. You have to... Like, I've seen enough Legal Eagle on YouTube to know, like...
You can do it, but there's going to be a million objections, and the trial's going to be halted, and you're going to go into chambers, and you're going to...
Yeah. Yeah. You can't just be like, yeah, actually, no, I saw him. Like, I saw the defendant murdering Mr. Black.
Well, curiously enough, that's not what she said. And Rodney has the worst defense lawyer in the world, because he doesn't ask her... Who did you see?
That's true. She never says it was Rodney, did she?
No. She's
coy
as
who did
fuck
it.
about it.
Shit, we're done.
Yeah, she's coy as fuck about it. And so...
Maybe during that scene, just prior to that scene, we didn't see this. Rodney fired his lawyer and decided to defend himself. That's why...
Well, like if I were Rodney, so Molly says that Rodney gives her a look like he's seeing her for the first time, which presumably means that Rodney now knows she's lying because Rodney knows, spoiler, he didn't kill Mr. Black.
Oh my God, what?
So Rodney should have whispered to his lawyer, she's either making shit up or she's doing some coy thing about...
Which she has done before.
Yeah.
She does this multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also forgot she called Giselle and told Giselle to get out of the country or whatever after confirming that Giselle was really her friend.
Yeah, but also Giselle was in no danger, so she just sent Giselle to the Cayman Islands for no reason. Also,
well, that's where she wanted to go.
Yeah, but Giselle's like, okay, so first off, the Cayman Islands are like fucking 50 square miles. So it's not hard to find Giselle in the Cayman Islands, where she owns a property now, because the last thing Mr. Black did before he died was sign over the house in the fucking Cayman Islands to Giselle.
Oh my god! Are you trying to tell me that she now has a motive for killing him?
I'm trying to tell you that she would be extradited, maybe? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Who cares? I guess.
But
so
also, children ringed around Molly and made her roll in the dirt and kicked her as a kid. And my thing was, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was weird.
I would, as her grandmother, start making a list of children who's gonna get their fucking asses kicked. You know what I'm saying?
Sued even. Yeah.
Yeah. If Penny comes home from school is like, yeah, the kids made me roll around in dirt and they kicked me, I'll be like, you tell me who they are? Promise you they will never mess with you or anyone again.
Yeah,
There's going to be a lot less kids going to your school is what I'm saying.
Anyway Molly hooks up with Juan Manuel because he's the only other man her age in the story. And
because, of course, we needed to... Molly finds a family. Her probable grandfather and probable half-aunt and Juan Manuel, I guess.
Juan Manuel, a man who loves
supervisor.
Cleaning. Yep, she gets her these...
And she threatens Cheryl.
Yep, and everything's tickety-boo.
Everything is tickety-boo, tickety-boo, tickety-boo.
Tickety-boo. The end, Ben. That was great. There's definitely not an epilogue after
Epilogue!
Oh my god!
So the epilogue is deflating any remaining sense of this being a mystery novel. There was no mystery. Molly knew who the killer was the whole time, and she actively covered it up, and she's been lying the whole time, and it doesn't make any sense that she would have let things go as far as they did.
Without dropping the dime on her? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, shit, you're arresting me for murder? Well, let me tell you what really happened. Done.
Yeah. So it turns out what she saw in there was... I kind of like this twist. What she saw in there was the original Mrs. Black, minor character, never appears on screen, only ever just calling someone on the phone. Mrs.
You
Black...
don't even know she's in the same town.
Yeah, Mrs.
She's
Black...
like across the country for all we know.
She summoned herself from the ether, and she showed up to argue with her ex-husband, and then she killed him.
The end. Also, Molly smothered her grandmother to death.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was really weird. Her grandma was like, the pain from the cancer is too much. I need you to smother me.
Her
like
grandmother...
you are Lenny from Of Mice and Men, and I'm a rabbit. Fucking hell.
Her grandmother forced her to do a mercy killing. So anyway...
Good job, Grandma. Anyway,
yeah. So Molly makes a decision to cover for the original Mrs. Black, erase any trace of her being there, because again, Molly doesn't know social cues or what anybody else thinks about anything, but she does know how to erase a crime scene. And she can make, despite being obsessed with the rules of conduct sometimes, she's also capable of bending things to suit her own morality whenever the hell she wants. And her own morality is, I don't like Mr. Black, go ahead and kill him. And so that's what happened. Molly knew who the killer was the whole time. There's no way you could have known that. There's no way anyone could have known that. Molly framed a man for murder, killed her own grandmother, and assisted in the murder of a drug dealer. She actually was.
She was the villain the whole time. She knew all their secrets and killed all of them.
So dare I say, there is a subtle, it's very subtle theming going on where Mr. Black was all bad and Mr. Snow was all good. But Molly Gray was a little in between.
Oh my god, I didn't even catch that because
I think Molly
Mr.
Gray...
Snow never came off as a good person to me. He came off as an incompetent dullard.
Yeah, so anyway, Molly Gray is a little bit of a gray morality. I kind of like that because, well, you can't solve the mystery at all. What you can recognize is that throughout the book, Molly is more complicated than she seems. She's, from the get-go, willing to bend the rules that she claims to so dearly value whenever it's something that's important to her, and her own morality is far from perfect. So I think they do sort of trick you into thinking that Molly is this naive idiot who will just go with whatever, like she's just totally helpless. And the whole time she's actually been involved in some...
the evil mastermind all along.
She totally frames Rodney and she tricks all these people into helping her.
She's Kaiser Sose. At the end of the book, she walks away and suddenly, instead of her limp going away, no, I don't want to complete this sentence. Anyway.
She made the decision to frame Rodney for murder because she decided she didn't like him.
Yeah, because A, didn't get breadsticks or salad at the Olive Garden. B, used her. C, never even got to the third date. Oh my god, right?
Now,
2 dates in a year, didn't even invite me for that third date. I was dropping all the subtle hints of like, I could go for dinner or maybe something else, like second dinner, yeah?
Yeah,
Maybe
so Nathaniel, that late night fourth meal, we're doing another Taco Bell ad.
Sponsor us, Taco Bell.
I bought the book and I read it. And in the back of my book, because this is part of the Good Morning
letter.
No, this is part of the Good Morning America book club. Now, Nate, we are nothing if not a book club podcast. So I have a few questions. Quote, a book club chat over a cup of tea or your beverage of choice. So these are a few questions that the author thinks that book clubs might want to discuss. And I thought we should. Yeah, I mean, it's the only way to really end this.
Yeah, we're a book club.
Okay, so here's what Nita Prose writes.
We're Good Night America.
That's right. So, The Maid is my attempt to invite you on a journey of the spirit, to offer you a way to see from new eyes. In this particular case, the eyes of Molly Gray, a hotel room maid who loves order, perfection, cleanliness, and friendliness, her gran, and a good cup of tea. My goal was to have you live as Molly for a little while, and my hope is that by doing so, you come to understand her a bit better. So now that you've made it to the end of the journey, how does it feel? What was it like to live as Molly? Was anything difficult or challenging? What have you learned, if anything, about yourself and others?
I've learned that if not in the real world, then at the very least in your world, no one knows what autism spectrum disorder is, but everyone will beat the shit out of that person for being different, and no one will do anything to stop it or punish the offenders. And also, I learned that if you don't like someone and you can frame them for murder, maybe you do. Maybe if they've committed some sort of crime, you can, let's go the distance, right? Let's also throw murder on top of that.
Many years ago, I taught teens with special needs. They were curious and bright, chaotically exuberant, sensitive, and big-hearted. It was a formative and unforgettable experience for me in many ways. When I'd take my students out on field trips, I was sometimes shocked by the casual cruelty of random strangers. These strangers, be they shopkeepers or ticket takers or passers-by on the sidewalk, seemed incapable of grace when faced with even the most innocuous challenge to their expectation of how someone should, quote-unquote, be. In fairness, only a few strangers acted in this intolerant manner, but they left a lasting imprint.
There you go.
There was a silver lining, though. I got to witness my students behave with such grace, human dignity, and courage in the face of harsh judgment. I got to see firsthand how their differences were actually their strengths. And while I wasn't conscious of it at the time, I think I gave Molly the best qualities of all my former students. Does Molly remind you of anyone? If so, who?
Okay, first of all, did you stop the people who were rolling your kids with special needs in dirt? Because I feel like you should have done that. You maybe should have brought in like a baseball bat. Really fucking gone to task on those people.
Well, I'm also going to guess that the special needs kids probably didn't mercy kill their grandparents either.
Well, yeah, that's fair. Probably the vast majority of people, not just people with ASD, but people in general, do not mercy kill their grandparents.
No. They probably also didn't frame anyone for murder or hide guns from murder scenes. Or
we can all agree that they should, right?
Can we? To answer your question, no. Molly does not remind me of anyone in my life. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
actually.
no, not at all.
I do know people that have the same, I guess, mental health challenges or brain health challenges that Molly has, but I don't know anyone who quite handled it the way Molly did.
I would hope not. I would hope that if you did, you would have turned them in by now.
Hotels fascinate me. They are miniature hierarchies where the highly valued guest reigns supreme at the top of the pyramid.
That would explain why there was a whole worker bee analogy flashback where I just put "why" as my note. Go on.
A maid like Molly toils invisibly in the background. There's a sense of containment to hotels that's very useful for a mystery writer, too. In The Maid, I take you...
a mystery writer. That's adorable.
I take you to the Regency Grand Hotel, a 5-star boutique hotel that prides itself on sophisticated elegance.
No. You don't get 5 stars with Continental breakfast.
But while the Regency Grand appears to be the very picture of refinement...
with their luxury bagels and their fruity pebbles.
And their cocaine on demand.
Yeah.
As we move through the novel...
Maybe that's what gives it the extra star that it lost.
As we move through the novel, we discover some of its secrets. Anything can happen behind all those closed doors. Are you a people watcher? Have you ever seen, heard, or experienced something interesting, unusual, notable, or surprising in a hotel? I have actually seen people do drugs in a hotel. Though I didn't consider that unusual or surprising, I guess.
No, not at all. Shit, you can get edibles delivered to your hotel in California.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I don't know. I don't travel a ton, but this whole thing about maids being invisible, first off, I always put the do not disturb thing on my door.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
do I.
let the maid clean while I'm there. I don't like that because I don't like someone coming in. I don't think they're invisible. They're very much a person coming in and looking at my stuff, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't want you to come and clean. I'll deal with it. I'm not going to be here for long.
Yeah, I don't ignore the maids, and when I leave, I actually clean for them. I kind of try to leave the room the way it's supposed to be.
Oh, you don't just shit in the bed and
no. No. Am I a people watcher though? I think so. Not as much as
I'm more of an exit to the building watcher.
My wife people watches. My wife people judges. I try to ignore people. I try not to see them. But yeah, I do watch them sometimes. I was eating at a Japanese restaurant today, and there was a dude next to me who was on a date with a lady he did not seem to know that well, who was from Ecuador.
Interesting.
And he kept trying to explain to her various things about Japanese food.
Oh my god, he's one of the worst kinds of people. Let me explain to you all this food. Let me tell you about this fine cuisine that we have in front of you. See, I once went to Japan for a week, and I studied abroad there. So let me tell you about their unique culture.
So I guess this wasn't people watching because we actually wound up talking to him because he didn't know what he was talking about, but he was like weirdly. He was both trying to explain it to.
And correct him.
He asked.
Okay.
Cause like we ordered stuff, like we knew exactly what we wanted, but he was like, "What is shumai?"
Did you say maybe just order it and find out, dude?
I was like, it's shrimp, and he's like, "What is gyoza?" And
what?
Like, it's like pork dumplings. Like, yeah.
What? How do you not know? You can go to an American Chinese food place where it's like very clearly just it's the American cuisine that they say is Chinese, but we all know it's not. And they've got gyoza.
Yeah. No, it was interesting.
Oh my god. I feel embarrassed for him.
Like he was fine. Like he was a nice guy.
No, I'm people judging. I'm with your wife on this one.
He was a nice guy. It was just weird. It was like maybe she just didn't like understand. Like maybe he was actually trying to help her. He wasn't trying to show off. I don't know.
I hope not.
I don't know.
He's trying to show off. He doesn't know what gyoza is. You've already failed, my friend. I don't know. I feel like that's like what it would be like if someone from like outside of our culture is like trying to show off, and they're like, "Hey, what are French fries?" They're like, "Ooh,
Well, we call them freedom fries, but
swinging a fucking miss there, buddy." Yeah, you're right. Freedom fries, freedom cabbage,
Liberty cabbage. Also,
Liberty cabbage. That's right.
Yeah, we're not done here. I'm a longtime editor, and my debut was published at the not at all tender age of 49. Clearly, I took my time to write it. Still, I've only ever been good at one thing: storytelling. Whether that's helping others tell stories or doing it myself, it feels like a continuation of what I've always done. Molly's superior skill is cleaning. What's your secret skill? An ability that you think defines you or that you're proud of. Why is it important to you?
Oh, you're asking me?
I'm asking you, yeah.
What was the question?
I was
having a flashback.
So Molly's secret skill is cleaning. What's your secret skill or ability that you're proud of that you feel defines you?
Is it a secret? I've turned my skill into a job the same way Molly did.
So what is your skill? Healing?
Sure, Ben. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
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 I don't think I have a secret skill.
You're a podcaster.
Yeah, but like
You
not a very
cast
good
pods.
one.
Well, you don't have to be a good one.
I guess why is it important to me? Why is it important to me to be a podcaster? Because no one listens to me when I talk about this in my real life. That's why it's important to me, because you people listen to me.
Because
I need to speak.
Because, well, I don't let you do that. Okay, you don't get.
No,
crazy
my
ideas
only
here.
regret is having a co-host. I will say that.
Don't get crazy ideas here. Okay, you speak when I let you speak. Okay, but why is it important, Ben? It's important because other book clubs don't have our opinions, and I feel like more people should. So
I definitely feel like we are doing the best version of a Maid book club that has ever been. Good Morning America ain't got shit on us.
Yeah.
Fuck Good Morning America. Listen to Words About Books.
Yeah.
When I finished writing the first draft of The Maid, I was terrified to share my work. I kept running through scenarios where I'd receive horrible rejections from agents and publishers.
You're an editor at Simon & Schuster. You've got a leg up in the industry, lady.
They're always polite, but I was afraid they would call my work lovely and then regrettably decline while eye-rolling. Well, you know what? You got your book published, but I'm still here to provide that lukewarm experience with a book review. So eventually I put on my big girl boots and pressed send. And I'm happy to report that I got over my own fear and everything turned out okay in the end, just like Gran always said it would.
Boo.
Molly faces many fears throughout the novel. What would you say those are?
Did she?
What's a fear that you've faced in your own life? Yeah, Molly's kind of like blissfully unaware of anything.
Yeah,
she
Molly's
should be afraid
biggest
of.
fear was going to jail, and then her fairy god lawyer swooped in and solved that problem.
But what's a fear that you've faced in your own life, and how did it feel to work through it?
No comment. Fuck you.
I'd say like anxiety and panic attacks, and it's a never-ending struggle, and it's kind of.
Did you get the benzos that were blue? Because if so, those were street drugs, Ben.
My benzos were white.
Okay. Whew. Thank God. Otherwise, because that blue dye is what gets you, right?
Oh,
benzos are legal until you add that blue number 5.
Here's she created clue cards for all the characters.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and Juan Manuel wears a baseball cap.
Did she have Mrs. Black on any of those cards?
You know, interestingly enough, no.
Okay. All right. So
the one person who did it is not even an option.
So it would be like in a game of Clue. You're like, all right, I think I finally figured it out. Mrs. White, candlestick, ballroom, got it. It's like, sorry, it was actually Mrs. Pink. That's a piece from a different board game, but yep. Sorry.
Also, Sunshine and Sunitha are one card. So,
who is Sunshine?
She was, I think, the Filipino maid.
I don't even remember her and didn't even write her down.
She has a gay son who joins.
Don't remember any of this.
At the end.
But don't worry, Ben. It's not important because
that's okay. I've got more questions and topics for discussion. What did you think of Molly as a character? What made her believable to you? Big assumption there.
Was she?
What were your feelings about the revelations in the epilogue about Molly's involvement in the case?
I thought it was a cheap cop-out, and it makes me mad to think about it, and I wish you didn't draw attention to that, because I actually enjoyed the book for the most part. I do feel like the pacing was just really bad with all of the constant flashbacks and the fact that it feels like nothing really happens in the book, but it was a fun ride until right at the end. Till right at the end, when you're like, epilogue, I knew who the killer was all along. It was someone you didn't even know was in the same state as the killed person. And yeah, it was them. Yeah, so there you go.
I thought it was the final sin that prevented this from ever being taken seriously as a mystery novel, but I did think it was interesting that Molly is a terrible person.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I honestly did, because I think that adds a grayness to Molly Gray that makes her more interesting. Now, Gran has a number of iconic sayings that Molly relies on to get her through both very happy and very difficult situations. What were some of your favorite Gran sayings?
Not for seeing. Or for talking.
What were some of your favorite Gran sayings? Do you remember a single Gran saying?
If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down.
I think my favorite Gran saying was never follow a hippie to a second location. Gran and Molly believe in the 3 E's. Etiquette.
Intensity,
elocution.
Integrity, intelligence.
Those are I's, not E's. But the E's are etiquette, elocution, and
Kurt
erudition.
Angle, motherfucker.
And Kurt Angle. Is there a moment in the novel where Molly's application of these 3 values stood out to you? If you had to pick just one of these, which would you say is the most important?
All right, so you said eloquence, electrocutioner, and what was the third one?
Etiquette.
Etiquette. So she does a lot of curtsying to guests, I guess. So that was it. I guess the electrocutioner thing comes in when she basically gives Rodney a death sentence. I know they're not going to electric chair him, but I mean, he's going away for life for a murder he didn't commit, so.
But he was mean to people, so.
He was mean to her. And Juan Manuel.
Yeah,
her friend, Juan Manuel, who cooks her eggs.
Don't fuck with Molly. That's the moral of the story. Molly says she is blessed with this ability to clean my mind as I would clean a room. I picture offensive people or recall uncomfortable... Yeah, she does talk about this a lot. I mean, she talks about it at the beginning and then once in the middle and then maybe at the end. What did you make of some of the moments when Molly's memories came creeping back in?
I know what they went on for a really long time. I thought that maybe people should have been concerned with how long she was just staring off into space.
This is a really dumb question. Did some of her darker memories when she finally revealed them surprise you? Yeah, I was really surprised she killed her fucking grandma. Did you... This is the dumbest question. This is the dumbest question. Did you understand why she'd want to wipe them away? No, you see, I'm an alien from another world, and I don't understand the trauma of killing your grandmother / only friend and why that would maybe bother you. Okay, Molly is aware others tend to make assumptions about her based on her demeanor and her position as a maid.
And they don't realize she's a stone-cold killer, yeah.
This is a fact she uses to her advantage in interrogation, right up until she's accused of the murder.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah, no, that's not very good.
It's actually a huge disadvantage the entire time.
Yeah, it actually almost gets her thrown in jail.
Yeah, this is the opposite of what really happened.
Did
Good Morning America even read the book?
What do you think? Do you think anyone in a book club has ever read the book?
Well, that's why they need to have an ironclad contract the way we do.
Right? So she says, I'm a hotel maid. Who would ever want to talk to me? When asked about her friendship with Giselle, the detective easily accepts this answer, again, until she doesn't and checks up on it and arrests her for murder.
Yeah, she finds out she has like a clockwork figure or some shit. I can't even remember. Like, oh, Giselle gave you a thing and read you her tips. She has an
hourglass.
That's what it was. Okay,
this is a really dumb question. They're like she flies under the radar and people just don't assume anything about her because she's a maid. But that's not what happens. That's not what happens in the book.
They constantly drop the dime on her.
What does it suggest about power dynamics and the assumptions people tend to make about others who are different from themselves? First off, the detective went and checked up on everything she said, found out she was lying, and accused her of murder. What the hell are you talking about?
What does that tell you about power dynamics, Ben?
She did not easily accept it. Who wrote this?
She easily accepted it, then it probably would have been Molly accidentally does the murder, or like, oh, it could have been like an indigo prophecy, right? She wakes up, she's in the bathroom, Mr. Black is dead in the toilet, Molly's like, oh my god, did I do this? And she's gotta quickly clean up and cover her tracks and make it look like it wasn't her. And then she's got to solve the mystery, is it her or was it not her? While the police detective is on her tail thinking that it was her, and Molly herself doesn't even know. And she uses the power of her neurodivergence to get away with, or not away with, but throws away suspicion from her long enough to catch the real killer, Ben.
Uh-huh. So Molly has a very distinct sense of what is right and wrong, but sometimes this takes the form of her grand's Robin Hood morality, in which her sense of fairness and justice can override what others may traditionally consider right or wrong. No shit. Do you think this willingness to help others is... Who the fuck did she help?
She helped Juan Manuel.
Kind of, because it helped her. What would you do in this situation? I wouldn't do anything Molly did.
I would have told Mrs. Black, like, yeah, no, I'll definitely cover everything up. And as soon as she leaves the room, calling the cops immediately.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would have done.
I just saw Mrs. Black murder her husband. Really weird that she was in here. Holy shit, I'm like traumatized right now. And then I'd be calling my lawyer. Yeah.
Also, this is unrelated, guys, but I think Cheryl might be doing cocaine in the hotel. While everything ends up okay, does it? Each one of Molly's allies risks something to help her.
She wins. Do they risk anything to help her? Mr. Preston doesn't risk anything, and his daughter risks, I guess, money for the bail.
Well, she works for free. I mean, there's an opportunity cost there, I guess. What do you think influenced each of their decisions? Well, I guess maybe Mr. Preston felt bad because he was her secret grandfather or something.
Yes. Yes.
Charlotte was doing a favor for her dad, and
Juan Manuel needed to
was just desperate to no longer be physically tortured.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably their motivations. That's a really dumb question. What were some
we forgot to mention Giselle has having an affair with Rodney because it's really not all that important.
Yeah, no. So
anyway.
what were some of your takeaways from the book? What message do you think the author was trying to convey?
The takeaway from the book is you should have marketed it completely different from what you did. This was not a mystery book, because if you want to grade this based on a mystery book, I would have to throw some extra stars off of your book. Failure on the mystery part. Not a horrible book, though. I actually graded it pretty favorably. But it's not a mystery.
Yeah, I'd say same thing, not a mystery. I think she was trying to convey that you should not make assumptions about people based on surface level observations. I think
Although
that's really...
everyone does that all the time to everyone.
Well, you have to an extent,
it's
but
first impression. Yeah, I can't sit down and get to know everyone that I see. Like, I can't walk into the Starbucks and be like, "Tell me your life story." To everyone there. Are you going to poison my coffee? Is that something you would do? Tell me about who you are as a person. What are your hopes and dreams? And it turns out, yeah, they would poison me. The end.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good place to end. I think we covered all the Good Morning America book club questions.
Have us on our show, Good Morning America, so that we can destroy you with our superior book clubbing.
We do have a superior book club. Our book club is way better than Good Morning America's.
Ooh, big facts.
Join the Discord, be a part of it. We have a Twitter at
bingo.
WAB Pod.
Does Good Morning America have bingo?
Yeah,
I think
Good Morning
not.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Twitter at WAB Pod. We got a blog at blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja. We got Instagram podcast, Instagram Words About Books podcast on Instagram,
and we got a Patreon. Did you mention that? Patreon.
We got Patreon, patreon.com/WAB Pod, and we have patron shout-outs. I need to give a shout-out to Spooky Shy, who is currently making Lucky Charms in the background. I don't think you can hear them, but...
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Hearts, stars, horseshoes, clovers, and blue moon, Spooky Shy. And then we've got Brad, a.k.a. Isekai Sensei Sama of Anime Podcast or Reincarnation.com. We've got the Gravy Man Jamie of If You Want the Gravy blog, where he reviews... I don't think does he review hotels? Maybe he should.
Yeah, maybe you should. Go to a 5-star hotel, tell me what their breakfast is like.
All right, who done it?
You did it.
They all did it. But if you want to know who killed Mr. Body, I did. In the hall. With the revolver. Okay, Chief, take him away. I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.